So we've got 8 tables, we've got 8 topics. There was a great deal of thought initially put into your placement at various tables. We had a lot of people that walked in and were thankful that you did. So I hope you didn't feel like a second-class citizen without having a table designated. The girls are going to walk around. The idea behind this is that you're going to talk the topic through. You're going to have about 20 minutes to do so, and then somebody's going to explain what you came up with as a solution to the issue on the paper that they're going to present you. The rules of engagement: speak respectfully. We're all here for the same reason, and we really want to. You're not speaking for the best interest of the distributor, the supplier. You're speaking in the best interest of the industry. Be constructive, honest, passionate, but without any repercussions. So hopefully you'll find the topics relevant, and Terry, Danielle, and I will walk around at various stages, and we might just chirp in on some thoughts we may have or may not have, but I don't think I've missed anything. So Terry's giving out the subject, and it is currently 3 o'clock, and I think our goal was to be out of here at 4, so we're right on target in time. So anybody have any questions about that?
Okay, and I know that obviously, guys, I know these discussions could go on for a lot longer, and what's exciting is to see that you are all very engaged. We saw a whole lot of that going on, which we really enjoyed watching. Now we're going, you guys have to pick the speaker. Each spokesperson for the table has maximum 5 minutes. You don't have to use, like if you only have a minute to tell your story, that's fine too, but maximum 5. And we're going, Danielle is going to take notes throughout all of this, and we're going to email you back kind of a summary of everything that was discussed and the solution-based stuff, and so it's going to be great. So we really need to hear some really good information from you guys. So we're going to start with table number 8, and that is dictatorship or partnership. Be honest about how we could improve on the way... Be honest on how we could improve on the way we value or devalue each other. Generate a list. He could totally lounge lizard his answers. I know he can.
Thank you very much. We had a good discussion here at the table trying to answer the questions that were posed. And I guess I'll summarize it. For the most part, based on everything that you had talked about before, we all don't feel that we are getting the most out of the relationships, that we have, that we could do better in the things that, in the interactions that we have. And in particular, one of the things, we said was that, to answer the question, if tomorrow I woke up and said, if I could, I would, then we thought, wouldn't it be cool to be able to have certification before you actually can start selling in this industry? Wouldn't it be cool if, of course you got to grandfather a lot of it these days, but I mean, you look at it and you say, I would like to ensure that, suppliers, I as a supplier would be willing to subsidize that education program that somebody has. So that it's not based on whether or not you've got room on your credit card, and access to a fax machine. So, what we would want to do is train people. So let's say they go out there and they do, there's 5 courses. And again, we're just talking off the top of our head. So we as suppliers invest to ensure that training happens and that they can get their certification. But, the person that is trying to get into the industry, their responsibility for each of the 5 modules is $300 a module. So there's some skin in the game before they even start. So now they've paid their $1,500, they've done all the training, which includes code of ethics, all these different things, and they write an exam and they're in the industry and they get their CAS, and now they can go out there and sell. And perhaps there's accreditation, again, that needs to recertify every 5 years or so, but it's something that helps everybody understand how to place an order, what artwork should look like, so that 60 to 80% of the orders that continue to come into suppliers are no longer incomplete or incorrect, right? So that we improve everything with respect to the channel. And that's what we'd like to do. And it can help, and the same works for suppliers. They've got to be able to come into the industry, and they've got to understand how we do business. As far as do we treat our partners the same way we treat our family and friends, the assumption there originally was why not? But we said yes. For the most part, we felt that that's the way we tried. I mean, that's the initial reaction anyway. The initial stance is to try to treat people the way you yourself would like to be treated and the way we would treat our family and friends. So there is no why not for us there. But, do our daily business practices improve or hinder our relationships? And, yes, they do, but they're inherent problems a lot of the time. And it's not always based on personality or approach to business. It's education. It's a number of things. And the understanding that we had at this table is that, you see, the only thing that is constant is change. And change will come. And what we have to do is get together, work together to form our place in the future. And if we don't do that, we'll end up wherever we bounce. And unfortunately, I think what would happen is we will all bounce to separate places. So we get together, we work together, and we make our way in the world of the future. And that's what we felt as a table.
Thank you, Table 8. Scott?
Oh, sorry. No,
You want royalties? You speak it.
You can tell what business Neil's in. Anyway, go ahead.
don't get us wrong. We feel that there's a lot of positive things happening in all the relationships, thanks to vehicles and presentations like this that reinforce the things that we need to be doing for respect, for loyalty, and all that. The other aspect too, and Jeff brought it up at the beginning of this, is that we didn't really talk amongst ourselves as a group or bring up the issue of one of the biggest challenges that we have, and that's the Amazons, the Walmarts, and that type of scenarios. And they're going to be there, but I think by strengthening these relationships that we have will help. I'm not going to say eliminate that, but it's going to help us deal with that a whole lot better when we put value in these relationships. And from a distributor standpoint, we have to bring our end user into this formula as well, because at the end of the day, they're making the decisions.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yep.
So, again, I just didn't want to have a sense that we didn't believe that everything was going great, because they are. Everything is going in the right direction. We just need to be better at it.
That's right. Thank you.
110%. So that's just all I want.
Well, and our goal here is to work together to create an environment that is sustainable, so that we all have jobs in this industry as we do them and as we love them, and work toward that, because there are those other factors coming in on all sides. So thank you for that. Table number 7.
Okay, our first question is, name the first 3 things that come to mind when you think about the channel members. So first of all, for distributor, the first thing, and it's a good thing. So from a supplier's perspective, they can look at each and every one of their distributors as an extension of their sales team. So now, straight across the country, they may, well, actually, if they're in one city, they may have, say, 2-3 reps. But when you take the country in its entirety, they could have 40, 50 reps, considering their distributors in that aspect of it. Bad side of it is some suppliers view distributors of only dealing with their preferred supplier vendors. So, in essence, some suppliers feel like they're being blocked out because they're not on that preferred listing. And then the third thing was kind of tied into more loyalty and respect for one another. And it really boiled down to how each member saw each other when it came to the distributor. All right, so for the supplier side, from a distributor's perspective, a dislike, pretty much distributors don't like being told by suppliers how they should run their company. For example, when a supplier rep comes into a distributor and says to them, you're at this sales dollar, you will get this once you attain this higher sales dollar. Distributors don't like suppliers to come in and tell them how to run their business in that sense. Then it came down to respect for distributors, i.e. in Quebec, they value the fact that suppliers will have French-speaking reps to represent their product line in their province. For those suppliers who don't have French-speaking reps, they feel like those suppliers just don't care or they don't value their business. And to be honest, they just don't understand their business. Third thing, partnership. So it ties down to more respect for what the supplier does. Sometimes we feel like distributors do not understand or respect what suppliers bring to the table, or how much suppliers have to put themselves out there in order to meet the demands that some of the distributors are having. All right? Multi-line. 3 things. Trust. They seem to get a lot of deep trust from the distributors. So that means they'll get a lot of inside information, which is great because that's a great way to build partnership and build long-lasting sales and business together. So it's more of a team effort, in essence. Suppliers try to control their multi-line, so that's a bad side of it. Suppliers utilize multi-line reps, but they want to change them for their specific business. A multi-line rep can have, say, 10 lines. There could be one supplier who decides, well, you know what? I need you to focus on my specific line, when they're forgetting the fact that this is a multi-line rep. They have to run a business. We don't have that right to demand how they're going to run their business or spend their time. But on the other side of that, there are some multi-line reps who have too many lines. They're not familiar with the product line, so they're not getting that message across to the distributor in the right way to educate them about the product line. And let's see, I think that was it. Our final question, Steve is going to give that great example. Constructively think about what would happen should any one of these channels be eliminated and how it would impact you. That's a great example.
Yeah, we didn't really have an awful lot of opportunity to actually talk it through, but I do have a short story that was a personal experience. And I was just thinking about when it happened, and for those who have been around the industry for a long time, you'll remember the event. It was with Pinball Clemens speaking to the association, so it goes back several years. And it was very interesting. I walked into a conversation of 2 gentlemen from our industry, who are not in this room, who had been drinking quite a bit that night, and were quite animated. So it was quite an interesting conversation to walk into. One was a supplier, one was a distributor. The supplier was accusing the distributor of bypassing them and trying to go directly to the Orient and getting the products direct. The distributor was accusing the supplier of bypassing distributors and going direct to the end user. And they got quite animated about it. They talked about it quite a bit, and they argued and what have you. And finally, I just said, guys, have you ever thought what would happen if the end user bypassed both of you and went directly to the Orient themselves? And that's, I couldn't believe how they were so disconnected with each other, that they weren't working together to keep the business within Canada by working as a team. So
That's a great story, actually. Thank you. Thank you. Table number 6. I'm going to read the question first, just so everybody knows where they're going with it, because they're a little hard to read from afar. What is the current perception of our industry to the outside world? Do our titles reflect our worth, and how can we improve?
Hi.
Hi.
I have a lot of different perspectives here at the table, so I'm going to do my best to represent them fairly. And just, guys, tell me if I don't do a good job. Okay. So the question here was, sellers of trinkets and trash, tchotchke, swag, really? Is that what we are? And it was a very interesting conversation because we have, obviously, distributor, supplier, and also outside perspective from what it could be like to be the end user, which is me. This is where I came from. And what we realized is that a lot of people see our stuff as the last-minute solution to a problem. It ends up being part of a campaign, usually. There's a large sort of creative idea. And within that overall campaign initiative, there's that need to make sure that something lasts and sits in someone's hand or ends up on someone's person. There's the media dollars, like the television spot, the content that people create, big dollars that people spend hours and days and months on. But when it comes to the lapel pin, or it comes to the trophy, or it comes to that thing that you want to have at your event, we know it is the thing that ends up being on people's minds about a month before it needs to be delivered. And so instead of calling it, sorry, how about a week? 5 days, sorry. Well, actually, they know about it a month, but they don't get to you until it needs to be there in 5 days. So what if we stopped thinking about this as products? What if collectively we stopped approaching our customers, our end users, with the idea that lapel pins, or here's that product that you might need for your event, and look at it as an actual form of media that translates into results. Clients and users are always buying media, and they're being told by media companies, here are the impressions, here are the number of people who are going to see your ad, here's the number of people who are going to take away this, here's where you should have your call to action to make sure that people really take away your message. And 9 times out of 10, they don't, because it is seen and then not seen. What if we looked at our products as the tangible resource, the tangible media, that could be in people's hands? If we started talking about what we do as a form of media, it could potentially do something to reignite the purpose and the value of what we deliver every day. We're not just tchotchke, we're not just trash, we're not just trinkets. Even if we are just lapel pins and keychains, we are things that we are media that stays in people's hands much longer than a call to action on a piece of content that they see on Facebook. So that kind of answers the 2 questions that we had, which is, are we good with it? Do we like the impression that we are just products and stuff that ends up at the bottom of a drawer or perhaps a garbage can? Who cares? Let's think about it as media, as an opportunity to really drive the value from a different perspective. And then the third question was create a 2-line elevator speech for each role in the distributor chain: supplier, distributor, multi-line rep. Okay, so the thing is, we don't have 3. We have 1, kind of, that I pieced together from the quick notes that I took, so please let me know if I didn't do this right. 2 things we focused on was the relationships and the idea of products becoming more like media in the overall campaign process. And so what we jotted down was, we build relationships with brands to help them invest in the promotional media that will make a lasting impression with your customers. And certainly it could get a lot stronger than that, but I think the 2 key things there are relationship and media.
That's great. Can you did you get that down? Can you make sure that Danielle gets that written speech? That would be great. And just give it to her before you guys go. Yeah, I know, but I don't know when I'm going to find that recording. All right, so table number 5. Culture and the role it plays within our walls and outside. Is it really a coincidence that the best cultures are having the best success and retention? Give 5 best ideas to improve our cultures in and outside of the business.
So good afternoon, everybody. So first of all, I just want to say that talking about culture, I was the only supplier here, everybody else was distributors, and it didn't make a difference. When you talk about culture, we're all on the same page, and we all have the same goals. So that, the whole supplier-distributor thing didn't really take into effect here. As far as coming up with 5 ideas, we were focused more on the 4 questions that we had on the page.
Okay, that's good.
So sorry about that, we didn't come up with 5 specific ideas. But is it a coincidence that companies that are having the most success are also having the most fun? And we flat out all agreed, no, that's not the case. In fact, companies where there's more success, you often have higher earners, and we all agreed that the higher earners is where you have the possibility that you can have some bad apples, where people are giving a hard time, that sort of thing. They create negative culture. And we were all able to cite examples within the companies that we work with where people who were given a hard time and that sort of thing, they can often bring down the culture of others. And it becomes a big problem. What do you do with these people? So it's not a coincidence. That is not something that happens at all. Is creating culture expensive? I was under the impression that it was at first. You lose somebody who's really important, replacing that person could be expensive. But then there's hidden factors as well. I mean, the cost that this person was causing you already, the negative backlash that they're having, the counterculture that they're causing, that's costing you money as well. People who are leaving, hidden factors that you're probably not aware of. So is creating culture expensive? Not necessarily. Is there a direct correlation between good corporate culture and retention? Absolutely, 100%. And I know from a personal example that that's the case, because our culture has improved in the last year tremendously, and now we have too many people coming back from maternity leave, we don't know what to do with it.
That's a good story. Well, it's okay. The intention was good.
So is it because of the good culture that
And do people really change jobs and take pay cuts for better culture? And yes, that is the case. Obviously, somebody who has serious financial difficulty and they need that high-paying job, that's going to probably force them to want to stay in a bad position. But there are many situations where it makes sense to take a lower-paying job for happiness. Saving money can't buy happiness.
Right. Thank you, guys. That was great. It's not like they weren't really clapping for the ones who spoke before. It's that we're getting closer to the end, just so you know. Just so nobody got their feelings hurt there. Topic number 4, table number 4. And this is my personal favorite. I hope you guys did a good job. What names, now listen to this, what names could we give each player in the chain that best describes our roles? And then write a 2-line elevator speech for each role. So guys are given the task to come up with new names other than supplier and distributor. Yeah, don't look at the 3 people up here when you're thinking the names. Anyway,
I
go.
believe that so far we've stayed within those parameters.
Okay, good.
So if you could rename supplier, distributor, multi-line rep, what would they be? So we tried to sort of think of different concepts in an engine or in a processing line or something, and what important piece do we all play there. But we wound up coming out with something a little bit more medieval, because of course we did mention earlier the age of everybody in this room. So supplier, we've decided to call our supplier the source-er. So he creates our products. He develops new ideas. He's a craftsman and an innovator. Wow. He will formulate solutions to our client problems and their, ideas of themselves. He will police and be the authority to make sure that the idea is getting conveyed properly and with his own points and, his own guidelines of what he prefers to have all our distributors and multi-lines and clients see. So basically, our product source-er.
Love that.
Oh, the people then. So as for our distributors, God bless you guys, we've called them our ambassadors. Be that a brand ambassador, a brand champion, it's your role and your job to bring forward all these wonderful new ideas that have been sorcerered by our lovely suppliers. They're a solutions provider. They are an image creator. They offer a conduit for you to convey your message to the people that you want to most impress yourself upon. The liaison between supplier and the clients, so an important role for them. And also the executioner. So they kind of execute, make things happen, deliver the bad news if necessary. So thanks again, you guys, because you are a very important cog in our machine. Multi-line, that's me. I'm a multi-line navigator. So our multi-line is the navigator in a territory uncharted by perhaps both your suppliers and possibly some of our distributors. We're not sure. But we're a diplomat. We like to be educators. We want to be and need to be tutors. So we're going to put you on that path to success with everything our supplier has given us and bring all your suggestions back through distributors to the suppliers to help them better understand the needs of the territory they're navigating. We're a connector. We are account developers. We bring new product ideas to maybe some of those accounts that you're not doing business with as a supplier, and we try to, again, navigate the storm and get everybody all on the same page and tack, if you will. We're relationship builders, kind of a school counselor at times, trying to make every side happy and addressing all the problems and possibly the source of those same problems. And that just all leads to problem resolution, which makes it all pretty much a happier place to be. And might I say, as a new entry into this promotional market, I've been here for a couple of years, I have felt very welcomed, and I have felt very much a part of the teams and the families here. So thanks very much for that.
Well, very well done. And we'll be talking to the PPPC about those titles shortly. I think they're going to like them. All right, topic number 3, table number 3. Okay, hold on. I'm going to tell you what it's about, though. That's Luke Caton. the topic is PPPC 2025. What is our current model, and how can we focus our efforts to ensure that it remains or becomes sustainable?
Thank you, everyone. Yes, I do like to talk, and most of the people in this room know that I am that person that does like to speak. The answer to that question that we came up with at this table, and I would like to tell all of you this was the best table here, the answer was, we all want to make money, but we have to do it in a win-win situation. Then we had these lovely counterpoints off to the side, these questions to really get our table stirring. And the first one that came up was, what are you doing to improve or advance the PPPC for 2025? We answered with one word. It was transparency. We have to be transparent. If your client is pushing you around, being bossy, telling you what to do, how to do it, when to do it, you don't go to the rep, push them around, boss them around, tell them to get this done right away, so he or she can then go to the supplier and say, this has to happen right now because the distributor needs this and we got to do this right away. What we should be doing is being transparent. Maybe it's the supplier telling the distributor, maybe that's not the right client for you. That's not the way we do business. This is the way we have to do things. We have to make a certain amount of money so you can make a certain amount of money so they can make a certain amount of money. That's the way it has to work. The next question that we got was, what could you, supplier, distributor, rep, be doing to advance it? We actually came up with a code of conduct, and we think it's been lost in the last few years, maybe in a long period of time. We all need to work for the same goal here. We all should be working with a code of conduct. If you're going to go in and sell your product for 5% and drop your pants and take that order, well, so be it. It's really not a good code of conduct, and it's really not a good business practice. You probably should not be doing things that way. But if we all form to this code, we think we'd be better. Third question was, what could PPPC do to increase the value to you? We said, the word we threw out was manifesto, or a governance of rules. We all need to follow a certain guideline, a certain standard. So we almost rolled those two questions together. The last question we got was, the word professional in PPPC, how could that call us to a specific industry expected behavior? Our table came up with lose the P and go back to PPAC, that we are an association. We're all on the same side. We're all on the same team. We should all be in a win-win scenario. But unfortunately, right now, in a lot of situations, we're not. We're actually fighting one another, and we shouldn't be. We're all trying to make the client happy. That's all we're trying to do. Make money, make everybody happy, move on. Get to your weekend.
That was awesome, actually. Way to go, guys. Love that. All right, second to last. Table number 2. Here's the question, or the topic, loyalty. What is that? Do we want to run our businesses based on loyalty, and what exactly and specifically would that look like?
Well, to tell you the truth, we actually concentrated on the first question. We
That's
got
okay.
so caught up on the whole thing. But I think the question was like selling direct or selling offshore. What's the difference? And where does the loyalty come from? And I think we all kind of came to the same understanding that as a distributor, as a supplier, as a multi-liner, we felt it was more beneficial if we all work together. The idea of me as a distributor going direct to China or wherever it is I'm getting the product from might be great for the dollars and cents, but at the end of the day, my everyday relationship might be with the supplier, and that's the one that should be most valuable. If I need a big order and it's a large enough volume order, I'll rely on them to have the expertise to make the right decision and provide us with the best product so that our client is happy. If I save my client $10 at the end of the day or $1,000, whatever the number is, but it's not the right product, nobody wins. So I believe at the end of the day, the loyalty should be within our group of supplier, distributor, and multi-liner. We should keep that together. So loyalty is a very important part of it. The next part of the question was, at 4 o'clock, you get that phone call, who do you go to and why? For us, it was the loyalty is very important, and that's obviously the starting point. But we felt, I think, that the number one thing was competency. who is the one you're going to go to when it boils down to it, is who's going to be able to answer that question best. And I might be loyal to you, or you might be loyal to me, or whatever, but at the end of the day, we have to go to the right source. So it might be the rep because they have the right answer, or they might be able to give you the answer quickly, and you might have the best relationship with them. Or it might be the other way around, where you go directly to the supplier and say, this is my needs, and I know you're going to give me the answer. Even though I might be loyal to my multi-liner, you might get the best answer right from your supplier. So again, loyalty, I think, is the number one value that you have to really stand strong in the industry. But it's also the relationship and the trust you have, and it's got to be earned. It's really got to be earned. You might be my best friend, but at the end of the day, we have to make sure it works as a partnership. Right. Leads come direct. Sorry, the question was, a large lead comes in directly, what do you do with it? And who do you give it to and why? We literally just started that question, and right away, it started to be, okay, it's territory, it's who do you have the best relationship with? And it might be, best business, who's your best client in the area or whatever. But then a valuable part of it came in the conversation was asking questions. I think a lot of times we forget to ask all the right questions. And as a multi-liner, he came up and said, we got that phone call. Instead of directly giving it to the distributor, whoever you might think might be best, he started saying, I'll ask all the right questions. Do they know? Are they working with a distributor currently? Right. Are they what's their use? What's their intent? And if you get the right answers, maybe it's the distributor doesn't know that the client is looking for this, or maybe the distributor is not knowledgeable enough, and the supplier needs to come in and educate them. So again, it boils down to, as much as loyalty is important, it's a team, right? And we all have to work together to build that relationship.
Yep.
And we didn't end up finishing the rest of it, unfortunately.
That's great.
Loyalty is important.
And the last topic of the day, roles and expectations of the 3 chain links. Are they realistic or prehistoric? Discuss and develop.
It was kind of funny to try and dissect. We didn't really at first realize what the question was. You kind of had to dissect it. So it was funny to kind of work together and figure out what the question was, and then immediately started disagreeing on the answers. But so for multi-line rep, is it realistic or prehistoric to see a multi-line rep as a courier, showroom curator, or valued solution provider? And I guess to a degree, all 3 of these, multi-line rep, supplier, and distributor, can all be case by case. But for a multi-line rep, we all agreed that to a degree, yes, there are cases where we might want a multi-line rep to courier something, but if you're asking every day, that's getting abusive, and that's not a good relationship. To be a showroom curator, just in general, they should be a good line rep, would be a showroom curator and a valued solution provider. Then as far as supplier goes, is it realistic or prehistoric to see them as a partner or rich competitor? That was a kind of an eye-opening one, because I, as a distributor, thought, well, they're all suppliers, they're all partners. They're all partners, and the multi-line reps and the suppliers said, well, no, if there is an opportunity for, if you need 100,000 pieces of something in 6 months, and you could go direct, you're automatically a rich competitor. And I was like, whoa, that's, it's kind of an eye-opening thing, seeing it from somebody else's perspective. So we were all kind of split 50-50 on that one, that it is case by case. Usually we see each other as partners, but there are times where it is, a competition. And then finally, distributors, are they loyal and appreciative, or demanding and price-driven? Again, it's a case-by-case basis. I think we can all agree the best relationships are, loyal and appreciative, and the ones that we don't like dealing with are the demanding and price-driven relationships. And so, again, it's case by case, but I think when you look at all 3 of these, multi-line rep, supplier, and distributor, it all kind of boils down to relationships and respect, and just that, relationship selling is still alive and well. So even if we look at each other and think of each other as competitors. If we have that good relationship, I think that is obviously kind of the point of this question, I think. Yeah.
Great. Okay, guys, that was, I don't know for you, for me that was spectacular. That's just a whole lot of information and a whole lot of talking and a whole lot of working together, which is what this was all about. We want to say thank you. Obviously, it was like the worst day ever to be driving, for those of you who weren't already here. People have come from far and wide. I think we have the largest attendance at a session, so that's kind of exciting. What it goes to show is either all of you want your education points, you had nothing better to do, or you actually cared. And I'm going to go with number 3. And if it wasn't, hopefully by the end you actually start to care a little more. But I was just talking to some people, you know, when we were wandering around in between, and people have come to me and said, you know what, I just thought about something we said and I could do that a little differently, or I could write things differently, or, you know, maybe I shouldn't be asking. If each of you walked out of this room and did one thing that we talked about, think about the positive change that would happen in this business starting as soon as possible. So I want to say thank you for taking the time. This is a long session. You know, we feel, the three of us feel so strongly about this. I mean, it just, as somebody said, it's our experience, right? That's what we do. This is our life. We've put our lifeblood into the business, and we want it to be sustainable. We want it to, yes, Catherine? Oh, thank you, Catherine. Yeah, this is part 2 with an extension and repeated, because I think a lot of people wanted to talk about it. Thank you, Catherine. Twice about part 3, so we better start talking about that. That's right. Anyway, I know that, I mean, I appreciate, I'm not a good listener. You probably noticed that over the years. I'm not the best. Actually, none of us are. We're all A-personality, crazy people. So for you to sit here as long as you did, and to then be that animated and excited by the topics, to me is just so awesome to see. I mean, we have some issues in our industry, but you guys have actually given me a whole lot of new hope and excitement about the possibility of change, the desire to change, and seeing each other at an equal level. So for me, thank you very much for coming. Neil's going to wrap us up.
Well, there's not a lot I can add to that, but I will say this, to Terry's point. I feel that I learned from some of the things that came out of it, which was great, and I hope everybody did. I said at the beginning, it's not about distributors, it's not about suppliers, it's not about multi-lines, it's about an industry. When you walk out, it starts. It starts tomorrow when you take that show, to get to the show floor. And when you speak to people, speak with the respect that each of us deserves. So, again, Terry's already commented on the weather, but thank you all, and enjoy.
Thank you.